second parak. I'm just going to chaz the Gemara quickly before the Mishnah, where it says Amar Mar on Chav Chesem Aviz about the Ktanim. It's by Tesis L'Rabbis, about 2-3 lines up from Tesis L'Rabbis. Amar Mar, Master said, Kol, it says the word Kol. L'Rabbis is a Ktanim to include the Ktanim. We learned to the Mishnah, Noshin of Adam Ktanim B'Tur Min HaSukkah. It says that Ktanim are patur from the Sukkah. It's the steer of the Mishnah, the Brisa. The Gemara says like Kasha, it's not a Kasha. Kan over here in the Brisa says B'Kadin Shagil L'Chinuch. It was a kid that reached the age of Chinuch who doesn't need his mother anymore. So therefore, the Brisa says he's Mechuyev in Sukkah. Kan, but the Mishnah, which says you're not, is referring to B'Kadin Shaloi Gil L'Chinuch, did not reach the age of Chinuch. He still needs his mother and therefore is not Chayav in Sukkah. The Gemara asks, Katan Shagil L'Chinuch Midrabbananu. Even if he's Gil L'Chinuch, it's only Midrabban. How can you say that we learn that from the word Kol, which is Deraisa? Your answer is no, really it is Midrabban. Ukros Mach Ba'almu just a support from the pasuk, but really it's Derabanan. Katan Shein Tzarech Lima. Katan was once he doesn't need his mother anymore, he's Mechuyev in Sukkah. Hechidami Katan Shein Tzarech Lima. What is the case of a Katan doesn't need his mother anymore? Amri Deber B'Yanai Kol Shenifna Vein Ima Mekanachte. Anybody who makes and his wife does and his mother doesn't need to clean him anymore, that type of person needs to be in the sukkah. Rabbi Shimon says, Kol shener mishnasif inakari ima. Anybody who wakes up in the middle of the night from his sleep and doesn't call out mami, that's somebody who's old enough already to go, needs to be in the sukkah. The Gemara asks, ima gdelo nami karu. Even older kids say the word ima in the middle of the night if they wake up. That's not like such a major, you don't have to be so little to say ima. Even big kids say that. Our answer is Ella, rather, Ema Koshen Neor V'inukari Ima. Say it means a kid that wakes up and doesn't keep calling Ima doesn't stop. That type of kid already could go into the sukkah. If they're saying Ima non-stop, then that's already too little, and they don't need to go into the sukkah. Ma'aseh, the older Kalas, there's a story where Shammai's daughter-in-law had a baby boy, and he made a sukkah for the kid. So the Gemara asks, Ma'aseh Listar. It's a story that's a contradiction. The Mishnah said the kids are patur. Now you tell me a whole story how Shammai made a sukkah for this kid. So it sounds like a stira. The Gemara says so it's like it's missing words. This is how you learn the Mishnah. V'Shammai machmer. You have to stick in that Shammai himself was more machmer. There was also a story of the other Kalasa Shammai Azakin. The daughter-in-law of Shammai Azakin had a baby boy. Upiches is a maziva. He removed the plaster on the roof of the house. And he made a schach over the bed for this boy, and therefore Shammai himself held kids are mechuyev in sukkah even at a very little age, if you could. Not that the kid's chayiv, but the parent is a chayiv already to get the kid in there as soon as possible, according to Shammai. We are up to the Mishnah. Here we go. Last Mishnah in the second pair. It starts off with like a very general rule. We're very familiar with this rule, but this Mishnah really lays it out thick. Lays it out. This is it. This is the main rule. Kol Shiva Sayamim. All 7 of the days of Sukkot. Adam Oiseh Sukkosei Keva Ubeisei Arai. All 7 days of Sukkot, a person should make his sukkah his fixed dwelling, and his house should be his temporary dwelling. This is the Yisayt of Sukkot. If you look at any like Machshava Sefer or Musars, any about Sukkot, this is really the main point, is your house becomes Arai and your sukkah becomes Keva. A lot of people, I shouldn't say we, but a lot of people we don't do this so well. We eat at meals, but a lot of people, hang out hang out in their home if they're not eating those foods, and they don't live in the sukkah like they do when they live at home. It's not so good. It's not so good. Really, as much as you can to be in the sukkah. We'll see more about it. Your sukkah is your home. Like your house is temporary. A lot of people I eat in the sukkah. I don't sleep there. I just eat my main sudas of Yom Tov in my sukkah. You're being Yetzah on some level, you're doing the main things. But the whole style of sukkahs, it's very hard when you have kids, and it's not so easy. We go on Chol trips. I'm not exactly sure how to do it myself. But the whole Yisayt of the mitzvah is your house is like temporary. And your sukkah is your main place where you are the entire sukkahs.
Like board games.
Yes, we're going to see, board games. Cook there, no. Not so pashut. What? Grill? I don't know about grilling. That's a good question. Maybe grilling is like a little bit more. But things that are very bizayandik, like if it's dirty or things like that. So again, practical halacha l'maisa left different things. But your sukkah should become your home. Okay, this is the most famous thing in Sukkot. Every person talks about this question. It says the Mishnah, Yordu Geshamim, rain is falling. It's raining outside on Sukkot. Me'emasai mutter lefanis. From when is it mutter? Lefanis means to remove yourself, to remove your kalim, to remove, everything you have there into the house. At what point? Everyone wants to know, what is the point that I could go into my house? I don't have to stay in the sukkah anymore. And here's the Mishnah's answer. Misha tisrach hamikpah. Misha tisrach means ruined, from when it gets ruined. Hamikpah. Mikpah means, in English means like a porridge, but it means like an oatmeal type of food. It's not actually oatmeal. You'll see it's a different food, but like oatmeal. It's like a cooked dish, not too thick, not too thin, like the Three Bears porridge.
Not too hot, not too cold.
Not too hot, not too cold. It's not a runny mixture. It's not a thick mixture. It makes a big difference because rain ruins it very quickly. If something's very thick, rain might not bother it as much. It's very thin also. It's liquidy in the first place. This is a type of dish that's like once a mikvah gets ruined, then you are allowed to go into your house. Okay? Misha tisrach hamikvah, from when the porridge gets ruined. Somebody comes over to you on Sukkot. Is this enough rain? How many times you get asked this question on Sukkot? Is this enough rain? You say, Misha tisrach hamikvah.
If you're eating porridge...
Not the mikvah, but the mikvah. What?
If you're eating porridge, you have other conversations.
You have other issues. So even if you're not eating porridge, it's a gedder of how bad the rain is. Even if you're nowhere near porridge. But once a porridge would get ruined, even if I'm personally not eating porridge, I'm allowed to leave the sukkah.
Well, if something's in the star,
Yeah.
let's say it's not close and in the star,
Oh, we're going to see in the Gemara that if somebody has a very sensitive nature, and we saw really earlier Gemaras, you could be free potter from the sukkah even at a different point. Yeah. And the Mishnah gives a very famous mashal. Everyone quotes this mashal. Mashloi mashal. They gave it a parable. They made it, Chazal made a parable for this. Lama hadavar daima. What is this comparable to? La'eved, to a servant. Sheba, that comes. Limzig kais l'rabbi. Limzig means literally to dilute. The wine back then was very, very thick and very, very strong. Whenever they drank wine, they poured water into it. Our wines are already diluted. But back then, they diluted on the spot before they drank. So the word for pouring is a lot of times mazug. But what happened was, this guy was coming to dilute the kais of his master. His master had wine, and he was coming to pour some water inside to dilute the cup. The shafach loy kitein al panav, and he poured the pitcher on his face. Okay? It's like an eved, a servant, that's coming to pour water to dilute the case of wine, and pours the pitcher in his face. Now it doesn't say who poured the pitcher on whose face. Which one did you think right away off the bat?
The rabbi.
The rabbi poured the pitcher on the eved's face? Or the eved poured the pitcher on the rabbi's face? The eved poured on the rabbi's face? Okay. So it seems we have a machlokes here. The Gemara is going to discuss it. It's not so pashut. Who poured it on who? But basically there's a sign of disgust here. It's like, something not nice about it. And we'll see more about this mashal. That is the Mishnah. It's a klola. We know sukkahs, you're supposed to be in the sukkah. So if it's raining, it's a klola that there's rain. You don't say mashvach mardagashem till the end of sukkah, till Shmini Atzeres, because of this reason. And rain's a klola on Yom Tov. So we have in the Mishnah as a general rule that your main home becomes the sukkah. That's number one. Second rule was, at what point, how bad is the rain that I could go in? And the third thing was a mashal to give you the idea how it's a curse to have rain on Yom Tov. It's like going to pour the master and the water gets spilled. We'll see what happens. Says the Gemara. Tan Rabbanan, the Rabbanan taught, this is a brisa. Kol shiva sayamim, all 7 of the days. Adam oise sukkase keva ubeise arai. A person should make his sukkah fixed and his house should be temporary, which is the exact same line of the Mishnah. But the Brisa says, Ketzad. Elaborate, how is this? How do you make your sukkah your fixed dwelling? How does this work? So the Brisa says, how you like kelim noim? If you have nice utensils, you have nice silverware, plates, things like that, ma'alon the sukkah, bring them up into the sukkah. That's the idea. Don't sit there eating with your rusty plastic, whatever. What do you eat at home? Bring that into the sukkah. We'll talk about plastic in a second. For Shalom Bayis, it could be worth it. But the idea is, bring your cutlery into the sukkah, your nice kalim. Matzah is nice. You have nice linens, nice chairs that have cloths on them, or pillows, blankets. You have nice linens. Malun the sukkah. Bring them up into the sukkah. And the Brisa ends off, Oichel v'sheise u'metayel b'sukkah. You should eat, you should drink, and you should be metayel in the sukkah. Metayel is a very hard word. There's a lot of different ideas what this can mean. The overall translation, I would say, is you should hang out in the sukkah. I wrote on my Gemara, hang out in the sukkah. Because it's an expression of just spending time in the sukkah. It's an expression of relaxing in the sukkah, playing a game in the sukkah, schmoozing, walking around, all of that nature. It's where you hang out. The same way you hang out at home. What are you doing at home all the time? I don't know, nothing really. Just relaxing. So that you should do in the sukkah. You should be metayel into the shmooze. Someone comes to your house on sukkahs, shmooze in the sukkah. Obviously, Shin Hara, it's not so posh to say dvarim b'teilim, but for usually our conversations, I think the Ilm is okay with. You go inside the sukkah and you shmooze, you eat a little bit, you fabring. That is what you're supposed to do on sukkahs. You're metayel in the sukkah. Grata, if your wife has, for Shalom Bayis, it's hard for the dishes. They make very nice plastic. I think that would be a good kiyum of. But the thing is, don't take the white plastic. Take your nice things. Right. It basically means make it nice. I don't mean dafka silver or not silver. Just take nice things and put it. People ask a question on Pesach. You're supposed to use beautiful things like a melech and Shalom Bayis, my wife, to clean every dishes and everything like that. That goes into it. If a wife's not interested, you have to take that into account as you're washing the dishes. So every person could feed their family. It should be nice. That's the mandate. So it says the Gemara, Menohan Mili, where do we know it from? Where do we know that you should make your sukkah your home? Bring your beautiful kalim in there, bring your nice linens. Where do we know it from? Menohan Mili. We've seen this many times, here it is. The Tanu Rabbanim, we learned in the Brisa, the Rabbanim taught, Teshvu, it says you should dwell in the sukkahs, Teshvu, that's the Lashon, Teshvu. B'chaga sukkahs Teshvu. And we learn that from Teshvu, Ke'ain Tuduru. The same way you would live. Ke'ain, the same way, in the same format, Tuduru is how you should live how you live in your home is how you should live in the sukkah. Mikan, says the Brisa, from here, from this idea, Amru, they said, Kol Shadasa Yomim, all 7 of the days, Oisa Adam Sukkah Kevo, Beisa Arai, a person should make his sukkah his fixed dwelling, and his house should be temporary. Period. That's where you know from this pasuk. And then this Brisa elaborates as well. Ketzad, how is this performed? Hayulay Kalim Nam, if you have nice utensils, Malon L'Sukkah, bring them up into the sukkah. Matzah is nice, you have nice linens, Malon L'Sukkah, bring them up into the sukkah. Oichol v'sheise u'metayel b'sukkah. Eat and drink and hang out in the sukkah. And this Brisa throws in one more additional one, which is interesting. Umeshanin b'sukkah. You should be mishanin in the sukkah. What does that mean, mishanin in the sukkah? Right now, what we think it means to learn bi'in. Learn, like kinyan masechta, to learn bi'in, not like a bekiyas or a chazara, reviewing your learning, but to analyze and to schwitz and to, like we say, v'shinantam u'v'necha, means you should sharpen it. Shin is sharp. Sharpening, analyzing your learning is what you should do in the sukkah. Iyun should be done in the sukkah.
This would be instead of learning the Spanish or instead of learning at home?
It's a very good question. It's a separate thing that they talk about if you could learn the base Spanish in the sukkah. But let's just take the home and your sukkah. Let's just take those two. That if you're learning bi'in, you're really focusing on your learning, it should be done in the sukkah. Okay?
You seem very like to learn at home also.
No, yeah. Yeah, you have to learn at home, 100%. Somebody told me once he never learns at home. Only learns in shul. Only. He said he never learned at home before. He learns in shul, doesn't learn at home. But here you see, what? Yeah, could be. Eventually we'll all see. Just said right now, he just learns at home, it works out for him. He never opens up a sefer at home. Like Aaron's saying, you see from here, you should same way you live at home, live in the sukkah. So he says, you should learn bi'in in the sukkah. Now, it's like Gemara, like really means Gemara, like Meshani means understanding the Meshayach. Now this is a Brisa, so it's not Gemara, but it means even the Tanoim analyze their opinions and discuss things. So it means analyzing the Mishnah is really getting down to the bottom of things. That's what Mishani means.
You can't even set on Zoom.
On Chol Hamoed, Baskem. So we just had another elaboration of Teshu Kein Taduru, eat and drink, Mitayel, and also really analyze learning in the Sukkah. The Gemara has a question. Eini, is this so? Is this so that you should analyze and learn Be'in in your Sukkah? Vama Rava, look what Rava says. Rava says, Mikra umisna. Mikra is Tanakh. Mikra is Tanakh, Teresh V'Ksav. Umisna is Mishnayos. Tanakh and Mishnayos b'mitalalta. That should be done in the Sukkah. Mitalalta is the Aramaic for Sukkah. It means shade, but that is the word for a Sukkah. When you're learning Tanakh and Mishnayos, do it in the Sukkah. Usnuye, I don't know why this is the word, but the word usnuye means Gemara, like analyzing learning, sharpening learning. Usnuye, Gemara learning, analyzing the Mishnayos, really getting into it. Bar mitalalta is outside the Sukkah. Rava says, no. When you're learning Tanakh and Mishnayos, do it in the Sukkah. But real analyzing, don't do it in the Sukkah. You know where he says to do it? I thought the Beis Medrash, that's not what he says. You should do it outside. People need to walk outside, get space, the luft. I can't be stuck in the Sukkah. If I'm learning Be'in, you ever saw this guy shuffling outside BMG or walking, pacing? Yeah, there's a thing to it. The Avir makes you think. So he's not saying go to the Beis Medrash. He's just saying, I can't be stuck to a Sukkah. I need to be able to go out, take a walk, and really analyze my learning. So you see, Rava says, no, real analyzing your learning should be done outside the Sukkah, not inside the Sukkah. That's what he says. Okay? Now, there's a big question, how could a Rava, that was just a Brisa. You asked me a question from Rava. Rava can't argue on the Brisa. But the Gemara is really asking, maybe the word Mishanim means something else. Because we said, Mishanim Sukkah means to analyze. Rava seems to say, he's an Amoira, that you don't analyze in the Sukkah. Analyzing is outside the Sukkah. So maybe we're learning the Brisa wrong. The Gemara says, Loi Kasha. It's not Shver. Ha b'migras, ha b'iyuni. Ha, in the Brisa, that was reviewing. We learned it wrong. When it said in the Brisa that you should be Mishanim b'sukkah, and I told you it means analyzing, it means like an analyzing and sharpening of reviewing. It means constantly reviewing, like kinyan Masechta, to get it clear. It's also a type of sharpening. It's not the sharpening of like pondering and svaras. It's more review, getting it really clear. That you should do in the sukkah. But Rava was referring to bi'iyuni. Real analyzing? No. You don't need to do that in the sukkah. That's something you need to. I need to be able to go outside in Avir because I wouldn't even do that at my home. I need to get out. I need to think. So I don't have to do that in the sukkah. And the Gemara brings a story to bring this out at this point. And we'll end with a story. Ki hada Rava. Now I stuck in some words here based on some girsa changes. I wrote, it says Rabba Bar Chama. I changed mine to Rava. Virami Bar Chama. I changed my Rabba to Rava. And I put in Virami Bar Chama because they changed and it makes more sense. Ki ha, like we found this story with Rava and Rami Bar Chama, two Ameroim. Ki havu kaimi mikamed Rav Chizda. When they would stand in front of Rav Chizda, which means they heard a shir and they were standing right in front of Rav Chizda. Could be Rav Chizda was learning while he was sitting and they were all standing, but they had just heard a shir from Rav Chizda. Mirati b'gemara b'hadi adadi. First Mirati they reviewed. They reviewed the Gemara b'hadi adadi with each other, like a quick review of the shir. He said this, a quick review. V'hadar ma'ayni b'svara. And then after they reviewed the basic outline of the shir, they were ma'ayni b'svara. They analyzed in the svaras of what he was saying in the learning. So we find there's two types of learning. There's like the reviewing to get it clear, and then there's like, okay, let's get into it. Let's really ponder it. So the same we find by these two Ameroim, two types of learning, that's how you answer up Rava in that Brisa. Rava, when he said outside the sukkah, is referring to that next step. Okay, now that we know Klar, let's really get into it. While the Brisa that said there should be Mishanin in the sukkah meant that review, that sharpening, that clarity of reviewing it, that should be done in the sukkah. We'll stop over here.
I'm sorry, Mark came out earlier. He came out by more earlier.
Yeah.
You need 14 meals an hour. If more came out.
We don't paskin like that. We paskin. Besides for the first night, you don't need to.
Because he buys, he was.